welcome back to our Team Lotus F1 Manager series as we are approaching the third round in this third season in 2026 as we will be heading to Japan in Suzuka in today's episode. And that's coming off a very successful first two rounds of the season. So Daniel Ricciardo in the opener in Melbourne won in his home race down under. Fernando Alonso finished P2 and it was roles reversed in China as Alonso won the last race and Danny Rick finishing P2. So back-to-back 1-2 finishes for us in the opening stages of 2026. Very close between our two drivers and Ricciardo ahead by 1 point. He gained the fastest lap last time out in China. So looking very good for us. But Yuki Tsunoda got a podium last time out. He's in third and Constructors looks very good for us as well. Unfortunately, I lost a bit of data in terms of recording for this episode. Nothing too bad, just in terms of the design work and what we were doing before we got to Suzuka. So as you can see down the bottom right, it is Suzuka today. But we did have 11 days until Suzuka when we first started this episode. So I will run through what we've done in the build-up of this one. But if you're not already and you're enjoying the series and you're coming back or you're here for the first time and you like what you're seeing, please do subscribe to the channel. If you can, like the video if you like the content, really does help me out. Only takes a couple of seconds to smash that like button. And as I say, really does help the channel and I really do appreciate it. So if you like the video and also get involved down below in the comments. But as I say, we are heading to Suzuka today and in the build up of this one, not too much has gone on. We had this, which was in terms of sponsoring Arvid Lindblad to help increase his performance in terms of his development. So we've gone and invested £400,000 in Arvid Lindblad. Of course, he's one of our affiliates, currently 18 years old, driving an F2. So hopefully that sponsorship will help to improve his overall rating of 66. We've done a bit of manufacturing, which is just spare parts for the upcoming race in Japan. What we've also gone and done is in the operations facilities management is the hospitality area and weather center were starting to decline in condition, as you can see on the right hand side here. So instead of refurbish, we have just increased them to the next level. So we're upgrading both the hospitality area and the weather center, and we are also doing that for the race simulator. So if you're pretty new to F1 Manager and you want to develop young drivers, one of the best things you can do is max out your race simulator. That will give you a nice buff. As you can see here, you get a weekly development buff. So that will really help out if you're trying to develop young drivers. So once that's completed, we will have a race simulator. Now, the other thing I want to do before we get into Suzuka is design a couple of car parts. So we've done very limited design work, and that's because we're sort of ahead of the field really in 2026 with the amount of research we did last year. And if you haven't checked out the last episode, please go back and click onto the previous episode. If you go into my main YouTube channel, there'll be a playlist of the Team Lotus series. So as I say, the last episode before this one, and it will explain what we're doing to help the AI develop the car. But essentially, it's very basic. We're using a database editor and a random generator, a draw generator, to draw out the upgrades for each car. So, for example, we've not done it for Japan, but for example, we might say Ferrari in Japan are getting a minor upgrade, McLaren getting a major. We draw those out of the generator. Once we know the upgrades, we then go into the database editor and update those. We did it last time out for China, and I've decided I'm going to do it across 4 different stages of this calendar year. So the next one we're going to do it in is Miami, in about 3 races time. Then we're going to do Barcelona. Typically, that's historically anyway, been a time where teams bring a lot of upgrades. Then we'll do it in Zandvoort. That's post the summer break. So it seems a good opportunity to do it there. And then we'll probably do it somewhere between Austin, Mexico, around there. So we're going to do it 4 different stages to help the AI build the car. Of course, in between that, the AI are going to naturally develop the car. They just don't tend to develop at the rate that we develop. And that's why we're not doing too much design work, because I don't want to dominate the whole season. I don't want to win every race 1-2. So we want it to be challenging. Of course, for some people that might be enjoyable, but for me, I do like a challenge. And the way we're doing it with that generator is just going to randomize the grid a bit. So yeah, we might see some lower teams making big leaps this season. And RB have made a great start. That's really not down to us. That's how the car has been developed by the AI for 2026. So yeah, if RB gets some major developments, they might be challenging for race wins and podiums. Who knows? So yeah, we'll do the next one of those once we get to the Miami episode. So you'll see that again in Miami, but it's as we are for Suzuka and Bahrain and Jeddah. But as I say, I'm sure the AI will bring in some upgrades anyway, and we are going to do a couple of designs in this CFD window because we haven't used any of those yet. So we'll use half on 2 upgrades, and we'll do an underfloor for 2.4 and 32 hours of wind tunnel. I'm going to focus on the high speed for this one. bringing the minimum lifespan right down to 2 to 4. And to be honest with you, I'm pretty happy with that. One engineer, $1 million, and that's going to take 31 days. And then we'll do the same for a front wing. And we'll use the rest on that. And again, we'll just buff up this low speed a little bit. Tire preservation. Be nice. Bring minimum lifespan down again, but we'll probably go 2 to 4 on the front wings. Happy with that. Again, $1.8 million, one engineer for a total completion of 41 days. And then we have it. So we're going to do 2 designs, and hopefully they'll be ready around that Miami time. So when we do that next upgrade for the AI, hopefully we'll have some upgrades as well. So it's going to be very interesting indeed. But we have arrived at Suzuka, round 3. Set our race targets then. So we'll go 6th for Danny Rick, and we'll go 4th or higher with Fernando Alonso as we begin practice then in Suzuka. Here we go then, Ricciardo, Alonso, both out on track as we chase down 100% setup satisfaction in this Suzuka practice session. Across 1, 2, and 3, and we'll be back once we've got those done and hopefully locked in. Right, okay. Ricciardo and Alonso, our 2 drivers, have come together here, I believe. And we're not going to see it, but I think it's Alonso behind who has tagged Daniel Ricciardo.
Yeah, I got it.
There's Fernando. He's gone into the back of Danny Rick.
Just feel
so that is not good for us in this first practice session.
My rear wing.
So a chassis, rear wing, and suspension gone on Danny Rick. Chassis, front wing, and underfloor damaged on Alonso. So a bad opening practice session here for us in Suzuka. And Alonso is going to get a grid penalty. 3-place grid penalty for Fernando Alonso as well. It's taken a lot of time for us to repair the cars and get them back out. We've lost half of the session effectively, so this is going to cost us in the long run in this free practice sessions in Suzuka. So that first practice session comes to an end. That's a bit of a nightmare for us. Alonso, we didn't see the full replay. We're only on board with Ricciardo, but we have to assume Alonso locked up, went into the back of his teammate. So he's got a 3-place grid penalty, a lot of damage caused as well. So Alonso can only start as high as P4 once we get to qualifying. And also K-Mag's got a penalty. So if you saw the last episode, K-Mag absolutely torpedoed into Enzo Fittipaldi and subsequently Bortoletto, taking all 3 of them out of the race. So I think K-Mag might have a 10-place grid penalty. I think it's quite significant. So K-Mag likely to start from the back in this one in Suzuka once we get to qualifying. Okay, so a classic for me, which is, I forgot this is a sprint weekend. So we've changed the sprint weekends, of course, for 2026. We've mixed it up a bit, and Japan is the first of those, and I completely forgot. So we finished that first practice session. Even more of a nightmare that Alonso went into the back of Ricciardo, because we are not set up very well at all. The car setup's untested. We are on the 3rd iteration of that. As you see, the highest setup satisfaction was 50 for Alonso. So, yeah, both 50%, I believe. Yeah, both of them are 50%. So we've got to hope we can get that into at least an 80% margin. But we're on the back foot here in sprint weekend qualifying. And, yeah, we've got to see how we go in sprint qualifying. But this might give other teams an opportunity. As I say, Alonso really causing us big issues. He's got a 3-place grid penalty as well. That'll be for the full race. So he'll start at least 4th. Maximum 4th. So he can't start any higher than that. Obviously, he can get pole in this sprint qualifying. But it might be a task because we are on the back foot. We haven't got a good setup. But let's see how we go as we start sprint qualifying then in Suzuka. And I think we just need to get them out straight away here, just to get some confidence in the car. Track details. It's going to drop right at the end. And that might be enough, to be honest, to get soft run in right at the end. It's going to be touch and go. We should have probably fueled them for a couple of runs, but let's get a run out on these Inters, see where we land.
Okay, so currently P1.
Here we go then. Our first run's done here in SQ1, looking very comfortable. I don't think I'll go back out unless it dries out. We've got some soft tyres ready to go, but it doesn't look like anyone's going to go out. Everyone just went for one run here then. So we are going to be safely through to SQ2. And no surprises in that bottom 6. Although the Williams have been doing not too bad this year so far, and both of them knocked out here in SQ1. But let's jump straight into SQ2 then. And just before we jump into that session, we've now unlocked the car setup. So we did get to the 80% mark with Fernando Alonso, 81%. Danny Rick looking very good, 94%. So that is very, very good for a sprint weekend. Right, track is likely to get a little bit wetter than it is now. So get them straight back out again in SQ2. And the whole grid now out, but Albon's probably going to cause some traffic here. Were we held up? We're going to see as we come across the line here.
Okay, that's currently P1.
No, I wouldn't say so because the time is very close between both of our drivers. So is that going to be enough to get through to SQ3? Okay. Looks like our times are looking very good. And again, I don't think anyone's going to go back out here again. So looking nice so far in sprint qualifying. Out in SQ2, the RB of Yuki Tsunoda, though. He's been pretty lightning so far this year, so that's a surprise. Lando out in the McLaren, something we did see a lot in 2025. Oscar getting in Q3 or SQ3, and Lando many a time was knocked out in Q2 or SQ2, and that's happening again here in 2026. Hulkenberg and the other RB is through to the SQ3 shootout, and we'll jump into that next. Right, here it is going to get dry at the end of the session, so we're going to put the softs on, and we're going to wait for that dry time, which is coming towards the end of this session. So the later you can go, the better. And the AI are not silly, are they? They know the same. So everyone is waiting for this level of dampness to drop. And here we go. Bottas, the first to blink. And then we've got Leclerc. We've got to, of course, get out in time here. Oh, Leclerc's had a lock-up.
Down at the hairpin.
Not ideal for the Ferrari, man, because he's going to take some tyre life out of that. He's on his outlap.
Now, they did leave it very late.
Still, that's not going to be good. He took 6%, took an extra couple of percent out of that. Here we go then. Daniel Ricciardo starts his flying lap in SQ3. What can we do here? Not many have set a lap so far, so we may not know where we sit until everyone's crossed the line. I think we're probably going to be 4th or 5th across the line. So that's sort of halfway through the grid. So we'll see a few more come across the grid after us. Come across the line, sorry, after us. Leclerc and Bottas have set their times. Leclerc, even with that lockup, does go nearly half a second quicker than Bottas, the reigning world champion. Hasn't got the pace so far on that Mercedes in 2026. It's a purple first sector for Daniel Ricciardo. It's a 31.5, just under a 31.6. Got about a 10th of a second on his teammate, Fernando Alonso. It's been very close between these two in the first two races and in the first couple of qualifying sessions of this sprint quali in Suzuka. Let's wait and see as we approach these middle sectors. Is it going to be an advantage to Danny Rick, or is Fernando Alonso going to bite back? Ricciardo's going to get a lovely tow from the McLaren, though, and that may be very beneficial as he goes purple again, just under a 37 flat, and it's 37.1, so Ricciardo got 2 to 3 tenths advantage now, and he's significantly closer to that McLaren. I think he's really benefiting from a tow. I believe Danny Rick is about to put this on provisional pole in in sprint qualifying, sorry, and it is provisional pole. What does Alonso do? Goes second, but it is by 4 tenths of a second. So Alonso quite a bit back on his teammate. I think Danny Rick nailed the lap, but also getting that tow. And everyone has finished. So Sainz and Hulkenberg didn't set a lap in the end there, which is not good for those two. Interestingly, Hamilton very close to Fernando Alonso's time here, less than a tenth behind Alonso. So Hamilton extracting some good pace from Ferrari. So perhaps Ferrari have made a leap across the weekend between China and coming here in Japan. But it is Daniel Ricciardo on pole for the sprint race, Fernando Alonso in P2, and we'll jump into some strategy next. Okay, interesting. They, by default, were on the softs, and they can get there, but look how close it is. I just want to see, actually, if we put them on light. So this is interesting. Very minimal. It's 25.33 estimated race time on light. Only changed to 25.32 on standard. So that is interesting. Do we go light with Ricciardo? Just mix it up a bit. And that we can obviously go on standard as well, but it does say that's quicker than the mediums, and go mediums with Fernando Alonso just to make it interesting. See, Ricciardo can't push his as much. But Ricciardo is always good on his side. So let's go with that as we begin this Japanese sprint race. What can we do in this sprint race? Can we make it another 1-2? We've done it in the first 2 full races, the first sprint of the year, and Ricciardo is away from P1, but Alonso looks like he's got a good start on the inside here. But now losing out in the second phase, and Lewis Hamilton on the outside, but it's a long way around there, and Fernando Alonso does hold on to that. We want to get the tyres up to temp and then really settle in. We haven't got much tyre to burn here.
Take it easy. Okay.
So Ricciardo and Alonso straight into management.
Keep it sensible on the tyres.
Russell's got some damage out there, which is interesting.
Copy.
Let's have a look at tyres then. So it is soft for the majority of the grid, apart from Teo Portoletto, and Fernando Alonso on the mediums. But they will have to manage those softs. They will be on light. And any lockups or overheating is really going to cost you in the sprint. And because Alonso is right on the margin, we didn't want to risk that with Fernando Alonso. So as we approach 130R on this second lap, Ricciardo is near enough broken the DRS to Alonso, but Hamilton is looking very racy behind Alonso. So Alonso might have a race behind him rather than in front of him, although they are using those softs quite a bit. They've used them 3% more than Ricciardo. And as I say, there's not much tyre life to play with, so the AI may drop off shortly, but Alonso did just get DRS on his teammate. That's going to help him in his defence against Lewis Hamilton here. Lewis Hamilton pulls out early to the inside, but we are very strong with that. DRS open, and Alonso really gained. As I say, our DRS is absolutely amazing. We gained so much with that. We've had probably the best DRS on the grid since 2025. It's an area that we really upgraded well last year, maintained it into 2026. So even when we're not the fastest all-out car, that DRS helps us gain so significantly, and you saw it there. Alonso was 7 tenths behind and nearly passed his teammate, so even if we just nick the DRS, it gives us enough to close right up to the car ahead. But it's lap 3, it's Ricciardo that leads, Alonso second, Hamilton third, and still a long way to go, 15 laps in this one. Alonso a lot closer to Ricciardo at the end of this lap. Ricciardo's tyres have just cooled down a little bit too much, so we're trying to get some temps back into those, but Fernando is surely going to have a go on his teammate here. DRS open on the inside, Fernando, and he claims first place in this sprint. And they've already come together in qualifying here, in practice, sorry. So hopefully we don't see the same in the race, as Bortoletto has had a lock up in the Haas. And as I say, this is not good in any sprint, but you've not got much tyre life to play with. And Bortoletto, let's see what that's done to him. Down to 80%, so yeah, that is bad news. He's going to have to manage those tyres like anything now for the rest of this race. If not, he's going to have to pit. It's now Alonso that leads, Ricciardo in second. And I think we just need to go aggressive with Ricciardo, build some tyre temps back up. But Ricciardo is now benefiting from the tow, the slipstream, and shortly the DRS to perhaps reclaim the lead in this sprint race in Suzuka. Here we are on board with Daniel Ricciardo. Goes into the slipstream. DRS opens now. Pulls out to the inside. Fernando defends it. Ricciardo slips over to the outside. It's a longer way round. But the Australian man looks like he's going to make it work. And he does. And I've got them both on always defend now. Alonso was on aggressive defense. So it's only fair to give it to Ricciardo, who reclaims the lead here. And a DRS train all the way down to Sainz. So our squabbling is allowing the rest of the grid to stay with us in the opening phases of this sprint race. Okay, lap 13 then. We're about to start lap 14. We have certainly pulled away from the rest of the field. Hamilton's dropped from 3rd down to 6th. Piastri now the man in P3. But Alonso is a lot closer to Ricciardo, the closest he's been for the last 6 or 7 laps. And he's about to pull out to the inside. Ricciardo goes to cover him off, and he does. And he remains in the lead, does Danny Rick. But it's going to be a squabble between our two teammates here to see who's going to win this sprint. But he's now got, as I say, 6.5, 7 seconds to 3rd place man Piastri. So they are clear of the rest of the field. They certainly feel like the grid is getting closer to us, which is nice to see. And as I say, when we get to Miami, we're going to do our own upgrades for them. So that should certainly close the gap. If not, a few teams might actually be ahead of us, be ahead of Team Lotus when we get there. So we've got to make the most of whilst we've got a dominant car here in the early phases of this season. But it is still Ricciardo that leads over Alonso. Ricciardo's got 50% tyre life. Alonso's got 61%. So Alonso's got a bit more to play with here. Ricciardo's going to have to really defend at the end. Alonso really on the charge now. Just 3 tenths behind. He really wants this sprint win. Of course, he's going to take a 3-place grid penalty in the full race, which will give an advantage to Daniel Ricciardo in their battle in the Drivers' Championship. If it's going to be a battle all the way this season, and that could be vital. But Alonso pulls alongside this time, and he is clear. And now he's got pace to use here.
Okay, so the gap 7.3.
And Ricciardo's got to manage his tyres a little bit here. So can he stay with him?
Oh, we can cancel lift off. Understood.
3 laps to go. Ricciardo's got to try and stay with Alonso here. Alonso trying to push that gap. He's got the tyres, but he is on the medium. So if Ricciardo's got any pace in those softs, he needs to use it. He's going to have to use some battery, I think, to stay with the Spaniard, because Alonso is pushing. He's pushing that gap.
Overtake available. Understood.
Ricciardo is already on standard. Look how close it is, though. Ricciardo's tyre life. That's, of course, on light, but standard would make them work, but he's close. He hasn't really got the ability to push, so what I've thought with these softs, they are going to be touch and go, but most of the grid went with the softs. Alonso's gone with the mediums, and at the moment, it's working for him. Ricciardo using his battery to close back up then to Fernando Alonso. Both pushing on the fuel. They've got all the tools here. But Alonso, the traction out of there, look, nearly pulled a second.
On DRS behind.
So Ricciardo has got to really work hard for this.
2 laps to go. Copy.
2 laps to go now.
Reminder, overtake available.
Okay.
10 seconds to Piastri, so the gap is ever increasing to the cars behind us. Here we go, about a lap and a half to go. Alonso's got about a second and a half. The DRS is broken. Ricciardo's got to push as much as he can here. Can he go on aggressive for a little while? His fuel is used, so is Alonso's. We're using more battery with Ricciardo, giving him every opportunity here. But Alonso, those mediums look to be the better tyre.
Okay.
And it looks like to be Fernando Alonso, because Ricciardo's struggling to get to the DRS. And we don't want to risk a puncture with him. He's at 37%. He can get into the DRS. But of course, Fernando can use his battery as well. As we would if Ricciardo was another team. We'd be using our battery out of here. We're not trying to give an advantage to either of these drivers. But it just looks like we made the right choice of tyres on Fernando Alonso. Ricciardo has got DRS. Alonso is using his battery now. And I don't think it's going to be enough. Ricciardo gets within 7 tenths. But Alonso should be able to push throughout this lap. Can Ricciardo go on attack? He's got 6%. So he probably can. Our 2 teammates fighting, but it doesn't look like it's going to be a close fight. He can't get that close, Ricciardo, to make a lunge, to make a move. Alonso still leads by a second then. Piastri now 12, nearly 13 seconds back as these 2 drivers really start to push and use all the tools they have at their disposal. It's Alonso P1, Ricciardo P2, Piastri P3, and the 2 Ferraris make up the top 5. Tsunoda's made up some positions, but doesn't look like it's going to be enough to get into the points. Very hard to overtake here unless you're on that start-finish straight. Or you're feeling bold through 130R. Ricciardo closing though here. It's seen, but it does still say 7 tenths, but it was a second a little while ago. Ricciardo is going to get a toe here. How close can he get? You can see his teammate, but it doesn't look to be closing. It's not going to be enough to make a lunge, is it? No, it's not. It gets under 7 tenths. But Alonso then looks like he was on the right tyres. The medium tyres was the way. Alonso comes home to win the sprint in Suzuka. And Danny Rick right behind him by just half a second. Very close again between our 2 teammates. For Alonso, really vital for him to win that sprint because he's going to take a grid penalty. He's going to start at least, well, the maximum we say, 4th. So he could have a challenge on to win the full race, which if Ricciardo won the full race, give him a point advantage of 7. Alonso only gaining a point over Ricciardo here. 8 points for Alonso, 7 for Ricciardo as the top 8 have now finished. But it's another 1-2 in every race or sprint so far in 2026. We've not been off the top 2 steps of the podium. And here we have it then. Fernando Alonso wins it. And I think Ricciardo probably did have the pace on him. It's just that tyre. I think working through that, the medium was the better tyre to be on. Had a little bit more room to push on. And that helped Alonso go up from 2nd to 1st and win the sprint. It's Daniel Ricciardo in 2nd. Oscar Piastri 3rd. Very much looking like best of the rest so far, Oscar, in the early phases of this 2026 season. It's Leclerc in 4th, Lewis Hamilton down 2 to 5th, Max Verstappen up 2 to 6th. A good race, you must say, from Lando Norris, up 5 places in the sprint to 7th, and Bottas, the reigning world champion, down 2, but does claim another point for Mercedes, who I think have only gained 6 points so far this season, so that's a vital point for them. Carlos Sainz 9th, Yuki Tsunoda up 3 to 10th, but of course 9th and 10th not scoring points in the sprint. No Russell there again, is there? No, Russell finishes 12th, so poor result for George Russell. But let's head into full qualifying then, and then we'll be jumping into some strategy and the full race in Suzuka. Here we go then, qualifying in Suzuka and the trusted formula. Get them out nice and early. Hopefully set a banker lap. That in itself will be enough to get us through to Q2. Just had Teo Porcher come out, but I think we're going to be good for traffic, but Fernando Alonso has ran wide. So we will call Fernando in, because that's likely to...
and they just can't keep on.
Yeah, he would have lost quite a bit of time there. So Fernando is going to have to abandon that first run. Ricciardo, I think, was free of traffic. So hopefully that's going to be enough for Danny Rick. But Fernando's going to have to come in and go back out again. All right, Alonso back out. He's going to have a bit of traffic in Sainz and Lawson. Where does he go? He goes faster. So all the drama is over, hopefully. And that should be us safely through to Q2. Just under a couple of minutes to go then. Shortly going to get checkered flag, but we're looking very good here for Q2. And here it comes, checkered flag, and there we go, confirmation. Bottas is out. Bottas is out. What's happened to Valtteri? It's not going well for the reigning world champion. Knocked out in 20th. I've got to assume he had some poor runs and some traffic there, because he's nearly a second and a half off his teammate. So I don't think that's the pace of the Mercedes. That's obviously a mistake or traffic, but Bottas is going to start P20 in Japan. And of course, here we go against Fernando Alonso then. Confirmation of that penalty that he got when he locked up and went into Daniel Ricciardo. So it's a free place grid penalty. So even if Fernando puts it on pole, he'll start no higher than 4th in this one. But look at that. Valtteri Bottas down in 20th. K-Mag, I think he had about a 10 place grid penalty for that massive collision in China. And it's only going to cost him 1 place to 21st to 22nd. But let's jump into Q2 and rinse and repeat, really. Get them out. These are a scrub set. We've used 10%, between 9 and 10% on both of these. But I'm hoping it will be enough to see us through. And then we'll get on board for Q3. Although we have got quite a bit of traffic just jumped out of the pits there. So it'll be interesting to see the time difference between our two drivers. It's half a second and Sainz goes quicker. Ricciardo may have to go again. Enzo Fittipaldi has gone 4 attempts quicker than Ricciardo, so maybe both of them will have to go again here. Yeah, we certainly do need to go again here in Q2, because we are both, with both drivers in the drop zone, and the RB is looking very pacey indeed. 127.8 from Tsunoda. Let's see if Ricciardo can get a green sector through this first sector. He does even better than green. He goes purple, so that's looking a lot better for us. Must have had traffic on those first runs. Have we got much traffic here? Ricciardo is approaching Hamilton. That looks to be a hot lap for Hamilton, though. Yeah, he's on a flying lap, so shouldn't be any traffic. We have got Ocon and Russell for Alonso. Ocon and Russell both on flyers, so yeah, shouldn't have any traffic here. As Alonso has taken that purple off Daniel Ricciardo then, so it is a 31.2 first sector, 31.1, so about half a tenth, I think, for Alonso in favour of that first sector. Purple again for Ricciardo in the second sector. So the Team Lotus is certainly coming alive now. And barring any mistakes, this should be enough to see us safely through then into Q3 with a 36.7 middle sector, but Alonso beats it again by a tenth, so Alonso looking very good. Ricciardo goes to the top of the timing sheets by 0.3 of a second, but it looks like Fernando Alonso might be even quicker by a tenth or two here. Let's have a look. Final corner to navigate, and timing line appears, and he does by 0.3 of a second. Very good lap from Fernando Alonso there. Here we go then, flying laps underway. We have set a first timing, but that was on very worn tyres. So now on fresh softs for our final runs here in Q3. It's currently 7th and 8th, but as I say, on worn tyres. So this is be our first representative time here in Q3. It's currently Hamilton on provisional pole by nearly 0.4 to Tsunoda, but a lot of drivers now on their final flying laps. Are we going to see some purple sectors light up again for Ricciardo and Fernando Alonso? Fernando Alonso did have Yuki Tsunoda all over the back of him, and Yuki still not too far back off him, so Yuki might be getting a nice tow through here, especially as we run down to 130R. Hamilton hasn't gone any quicker. Sainz has got within a couple of tenths of him, and Ricciardo's gone purple. 31.1, 31.2, so half a tenth, 2 attempts, sorry, in advantage to Daniel Ricciardo. But Yuki Tsunoda might set a handy time here if he gets that tow. Here we go, Ricciardo then, long straight, through coming up to a 130R, and then the final chicane as the second sector time is set, and it's another purple, looking very good, although Alonso's gone quicker, not by much though, 100th of a second, so Ricciardo's probably got about 600s up, I would say. It's going to be very close. But here we go, Ricciardo, is this going to be provisional pole? It is, only by 0.2 this time. What does Alonso do? Doesn't replace him. And Tsunoda finishes and doesn't do any damage to Ricciardo Alonso. 0.007 of a second between Ricciardo and Alonso in the end. Alonso, of course, hoping for pole with that free-place grid penalty. Would have dropped him to 4th, but he'll now start P5. And everyone else has finished. So the two RBs doing well again, 5th and 6th. For RB. But here we have it, the full classification, and Daniel Ricciardo on pole, as we said, by 0.007 of a second over his teammate Fernando Alonso, who qualifies P2 but will start P5. It's Lewis Hamilton P3, he'll be promoted to P2, and Carlos Sainz 4th for Red Bull, then the two RBs in Tsunoda and Hülkenberg respectively, then the two McLarens, Piastri and Norris respectively, then Max Verstappen in 9th, and George Russell starts 10th for Mercedes. That Mercedes pretty dominant in 2025, really struggling in the opening stages here of 2026. Leclerc was knocked out in Q2, which we missed. So Leclerc not having a great Q2 session. And as we said, Valtteri Bottas knocked out in Q1 and will start 20th. But let's jump into some strategy before we get this Japanese Grand Prix underway. Here we go then, strategy for this one, and it's going to be a two-stopper with both drivers, but the order of the tyre compounds are reversed. So Ricciardo's going to go medium, medium, softs. Alonso's going to go soft, medium, mediums. Hopefully that softer tyre will help Alonso with some early overtakes because he's 5th. Ricciardo's got the medium, but he can push it. We're going aggressive on that first stint, but we can, of course, go standard if we want to extend. So it just gives Ricciardo a little bit more margin depending on what's going on behind him. So Alonso starts 5th, Ricciardo on pole as we start this Japanese Grand Prix. Had a 1-2 in the first 2 races of this season. Alonso starting down in 5th. We've got 5 lights and they're held for a little while, and Ricciardo gets us underway then in Suzuka. Can he maintain this lead on Carlos Sainz and Hamilton behind him? He does. Alonso looks like he's still in P5. Although just moving up to P4 there on Yuki Tsunoda. Those RBs very quick early on in this 2026 season. As we continue to battle away. Jay Saunders, thanks for the gifts. Much appreciated. Boga, yes, I remember you. How's it going, buddy? Hope you're well. So Ricciardo making a nice start here, isn't he? P1 and nearly a second to Sainz. This could be easy work for Ricciardo around here today. But a little bit more work to do, as we said, for Fernando Alonso. Let's have a look at tyres, and let's just switch this screen over there. And so it's Ricciardo on mediums, Sainz on hards. Maybe that's why he's dropping back so quickly. Then we've got Hamilton, Alonso softs, Tsunoda mediums. Then quite a few soft runners for the rest of the top 10. But yeah, Ricciardo has already broken the DRS to Carlos Sainz. But as I say, Sainz is on the hard. So I think if Hamilton clears Sainz, which he might be about to do in that Ferrari. Oh, yeah. Takes a brave man through 130R. And we've got one of those brave men. Alonso is up to P3, is he now? Challenging Hamilton. Hamilton had to pull out of it on 130R, and that's allowed Alonso the opportunity to move up into P3.
Currently P3.
Of course, Alonso getting that move done in the past on Michael Schumacher. Love your stuff, man. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for dropping in. And here we go, Alonso. We said about it through here, and he's going to go for it. Looks like we're done before 130R, to be fair.
Let's go.
Alonso into P2 then.
Keep at it.
Let's have another look at that. So as I say, this is done basically off this corner here. Just good launch. Good traction off there. Obviously, Sainz on the hards, Alonso on the softs. Making all the difference there. So Alonso, although he started P5,
Let's go.
he's already within a couple of laps into P2 and within the DRS of his teammate Ricciardo. So we should have a battle on here between our two teammates.
Understood.
But Alonso used a lot more of his battery life here. But he's going to go for a move around the outside on Daniel Ricciardo.
Okay, recharge on.
And Alonso is going to get it done. So Alonso moves into the lead. What a start from Fernando here. Alonso is healthily building his battery back up. It was nearly depleted from those early overtakes. So let's say Alonso started this one P5 up to P2 within a couple of laps though. So really good work for Alonso. Needed to do that if he was to challenge Daniel Ricciardo here in Suzuka. But of course, Ricciardo is now going to get the benefit of the toe and then the DRS on the start-finish straight. But he may well be straight back past, and he's looking very racy now. He's behind Alonso. He's pulled out here to the inside, but that's going to make a very tight angle for 130R. I don't think it's quite going to happen through there. So best to keep in the slipstream. And this is where Daniel Ricciardo wants to make the move. Stay close through here. And this should be easy work for him to reclaim the lead. DRS open, pulls out. And there we go. Ricciardo sails back past Fernando Alonso to reclaim the lead. As we've got a fastest lap down there in P5 from Yuki Tsunoda. I said to look out for Yuki on those mediums. Look, he's got 20% tire, well, 15% tire life, 14% on Hamilton, 11% on Piastri. So Tsunoda, who got a podium last time out, could be one to watch for another podium here in Suzuka. And of course, quite a bit of Formula 1 news this week as well. We had Colapinto, who's been snapped up, haven't we, by Alpine as a reserve driver, but a lot of rumours that he's very much on standby if Doohan is not cutting the mustard, which is a bit harsh for Jack Doohan. He's not, he's had one race, so yeah, probably unwanted pressure for a rookie to think that someone's waiting in the wings for you. And Alonso has just dropped out of the DRS to Daniel Ricciardo.
Out the tyres.
It's okay.
So Alonso losing a bit of pace here. Right, here comes Ricciardo then. So Alonso will take the lead. Ricciardo box. And he'll be going on another set of mediums for this middle stint. 2.2, very nice. As Verstappen pits as well for Red Bull.
Reminder, throttle on pit exit.
And I think Piastri and Norris are not going to be far away from McLaren either. So where's Ricciardo going to come out here? Should have a nice gap now because a few cars have pitted behind him. And he has indeed, so that's worked out quite well.
P7.
Yeah, Ricciardo 4 seconds to Charles Leclerc. And he probably will catch him though, because Leclerc's on the medium, so he won't have to pit.
Max coming now.
Quite, well, he might pit early though. Leclerc, we'll see. But Ricciardo might have to do that one on track.
Okay, pit lane.
And he should be out behind his teammate. But again, they've got a lovely gap because Albon in that Aston Martin, 11 seconds behind Ricciardo. So Alonso should find that nice gap. 2.4 seconds.
And white line on the exit.
And let's see where Alonso comes out. And there we go. That nice gap we talked about as Norris has stopped as well. So they're on the same tyres at this phase, but Alonso is 7.4 back on Ricciardo. So looking nice for Danny Rick at this phase of the Grand Prix.
Gap at 6.7.
And there we go. Oscar's into the pits. So that'll promote Ricciardo up to P3 as he's getting past Leclerc there as well. We just missed that. Hopefully we'll get a replay.
Alrighty. Nice.
But this is what happened. And we're watching Daniel Ricciardo. It's there for the taking.
There we go. Easy work in the end. Newer tyres. DRS assisted.
Third.
And will Alonso catch Leclerc here? Ricciardo is on Carlos Sainz though. So again, this should be easy work once we catch Sainz here. This should be the moment here. Should get a lot better traction out of here. And there we go, nearly already alongside. DRS open. And there goes Daniel Ricciardo back to P2. Just Tsunoda in his way now to reclaiming the lead. But of course, unless we got a safety car hit, well, even if we got a safety car, unless we got a red flag, Ricciardo is in the net lead, of course, with Tsunoda still having to pit. Alonso 4.7 back on Leclerc. Leclerc pit, so that saved a job for Alonso. But Ricciardo is going to have to get past Yuki Tsunoda here. Is Yuki going to try the one stopper here for RB? If he goes on the hards, certainly will be. Because, yeah, what's that? Once we get to lap 26.5, halfway around that 26th lap, then we'll be halfway through this one. So he's near enough took these mediums halfway through. So good chance that Tsunoda's going for a one-stopper here. And same with Sainz. Sainz started on the hards. So I think Sainz and Tsunoda could be one-stopping. Leclerc's out on the soft, so I was wondering if Leclerc was going to be as well, but I think he's going to two-stop. And here we go, Ricciardo trying to get this done nice and early. Because he's going to lose a bit of time here, held up by Tsunoda. Is he going to go for this then? Through 130R. We're going to see a nice bold overtake from Ricciardo. Doesn't need to take any risks, of course. That'd be nice to see. No, he thinks better of it. I think he's a bit too far back in the end on that one. As we follow him through this chicane. Famous chicane, of course. Senna and Prost. And turn one here, of course, with Senna and Prost. But here comes Ricciardo then, through on Tsunoda, reclaims the lead. And Tsunoda's still to pit, of course.
Okay, very good.
Got a bit of fuel in hand, Alonso. I'm resisting using that until he's got some clean air. Oh, he's looking around the outside there. Alonso getting very frustrated behind Carlos Sainz. We don't want to make any errors here and take yourself out of the race, Fernando. But here we go. Fernando, as we say, a man with history through 130R. He's not a man to turn down the opportunity. Is he going to go for it? Alonso. Oh, of course he is. Fernando. Through 130R. He doesn't care, does he? He's past Carlos Sainz. What a move. Although much better tyres. But it still takes a brave man to go through there.
You're P3.
We've got to watch that one again, haven't we? On board with him then. Look at this. Lovely, lovely, lovely work. Tsunoda stops. Tsunoda stops. So that does save Alonso a job. Just interested to see where Tsunoda's going to come out. I'm expecting him to put some hard tyres on, and they are. White striped hard tyres. Nice clean stop. So where is Yuki going to come out here? I think Yuki might have a good chance of podium again here. Is his teammate going to be past him? He is. Is Leclerc going to be past him? I think he is. Leclerc on the softs. But we would expect all of these to stop again. So, yeah, Tsunoda. Was it 16? He's 13 seconds. He's 16 seconds off Sainz, but Sainz got to stop. He's 13 seconds off Hamilton, but he's got a pit stop in hand now. So, yeah, looking good for Yuki. Ricciardo got a yellow flag. Ooh.
2 cars out. A lot of debris.
Piastri and Verstappen.
Follow the line of the...
What has happened here? Oh, that is on Piastri. Verstappen was out wide.
Not much that the team can do about
and Piastri just followed him out there and tagged him. Gotta say, that's on Oscar. To me, it looks like Verstappen misjudged it and went too wide, but then Oscar kind of followed him and went wide, but tagged him whilst they're both off the track. And they've both got damage. And that's really ruined Verstappen and Piastri's races then. When I have to go, I'll gift all of my TikTok coins. You do what you like, Voga. Certainly not required. But I have appreciated all the gifts, buddy. Really is appreciated. So yeah, Verstappen and Piastri got damaged then. Does that open the door for any surprises into the points? Perhaps if they both drop out. Théo Pourchaire, Albon. Oh, Verstappen's got a puncture. Oh, it's going from bad to worse. Max Verstappen, we did see it on board anyway, but we can see the moment it went. He's just got this straight to do. Rear right. Oh, Max. Max is having a mare. So he's going to be losing so much time. As I say, he's going to lose a lot of time. Lucky for him, it's at the end of the lap, and he's going to hold Piastri up. I don't blame him, really. Piastri, the cause of this. Piastri's going to carry on in his merry way, I think. Or is Piastri going to stop for a front wing adjustment there? Front wing replacement. He is pitting. Piastri has to pit. Didn't see his tyres. Verstappen's obviously dead. Let's just see if Piastri has to change a front wing here. Yeah, they're changing that front wing. So Piastri has to take a front wing change. Interesting enough, I didn't see any investigation and no penalties have come up here. And Verstappen doesn't need to take a front wing change then. No, his end plates are on and everything, so it doesn't look like his damage is front wing damage, but perhaps some chassis and underfloor damage to both cars then. They're still running damage. Here we go, Fernando Alonso in for his second and hopefully final stop of the day. 2.4 second stop.
White line on the exit.
And talking about Yuki Tsunoda, we should have a nice gap in front of him here. We're going to be behind Norris, but there is Yuki. In the distance, he'll close up to us a little bit whilst we get these tyres up to temp.
Currently P3. Norris ahead of you. Gap 8.3.
So 8.5 to Norris. Ricciardo is coming in lap 39, so next lap
4.4
for Ricciardo. And we've had a 2.2, we've had 2.4 in there as well. Can we do any better than that? Team waits to receive him. 2.3 in the middle of a 2.2 and 2.3.
Focus on reaction time and no full throttle before pit exit.
And how close is Alonso going to be to him then for this final stint? Doesn't look like he's going to be very close at all, does he? There's Ricciardo. And there is Fernando Alonso now in the picture. So Ricciardo, comfortable, I would say.
Okay, that's currently P1.
Alonso got some DRS here. Why is this Haas not getting out of the way here? Now he does.
14 laps to go. 14 laps. you can cancel or reduce a lift off.
So Alonso 7 seconds near enough off the lead. So let's see if mediums are quicker than softs on this final stint. He might have a chance. If not, it's Ricciardo's.
Okay.
But this is looking problematic for Yuki Tsunoda. This is the closest Lewis Hamilton has been. And we've got a yellow flag. But it's cleared, and Lewis does look at the move, but doesn't go for it. Norris does go for the move on Leclerc, and he's through. Tsunoda hangs on for another lap. But now Norris is released, and it's going to be a three-way battle, easy for me to say, between Tsunoda, Hamilton, and Norris. Tsunoda has done such a job here, but I think he's going to run out of tyre life, and he may drop down to P5, P6, which is going to be a sad sight because he's really struggling now. He could do with getting some DRS off that back marker, but he's not gaining quick enough. I feel Tsunoda's going to be eaten up here, although he's got great traction out of there. Maybe he deployed a bit of battery, and he nearly broke the DRS. And now Hamilton's got more of an issue behind him than in front of him, because Lando Norris is having a sneaky little look. And he's having another little look. And no, he's not brave. He's not man enough for it, Lando, through there. Right, Hamilton is going to have DRS again on Tsunoda. I feel he's a little bit too far back, depending on what they get out of this corner. But it's 7 tenths. Did get it down a bit. It might be close with Tsunoda. Yuki doing a mega job with 4 laps to go here, but here's Lando Norris on Lewis Hamilton, but Lewis Hamilton helped by the DRS as we've got another yellow flag as Hulkenberg's had a lockup. He's in 8th place.
Now we see this was at turn 15.
George Russell behind him, but he was quite a bit behind him.
Just unable to do much.
Ahead, Yuki really... Oh, and Norris having another look through here. But no, it's because Hamilton's getting the slipstream. As soon as Norris pulls out, he just loses that slipstream. Tsunoda, if he's got any battery, he's going to need to deploy all of it. Oh, how I love seeing Max out of the top 10. Yeah, Max not scoring any points here today. I think Tsunoda's in real trouble here. Yuki, can you go to the inside? Oh, Hamilton, that was very timid from Lewis, though. Yuki will take it. Don't count out Charles for podium. No, Charles is here as well now, but his tyre life is not as good. Tsunoda, 31%, though. He's about to dive off the cliff. Yuki Tsunoda needs this back marker. He needs to get a slipstream off him. And then he needs him to get out of the way and hold these guys up. But he's getting out of the way nicely there. Does he hold Lewis up? No, he doesn't. He doesn't hold any of them up, really. That's good work from the back marker by Lewis Hamilton. On the outside. Yuki can't do anything about it. What a defense from Yuki. But there we go. The tyres have gone, I think. He's got to get some kind of slipstream to try and fight back, but I don't think he can do anything about it. He's down to 31%. He's still got another lap to go. Another 2 laps. Yuki, don't get a puncture after all this. He's lost the DRS to Lewis. He's going to be a sitting duck here. Oh, no, he did just get it. Did just get it. But Norris is frustrated because his chance of a podium has slipped away, I think, because it's given Lewis 1.4 seconds now.
Increase and lift off, please.
Copy.
What if Lewis locks up? Lucas begging for a Lewis mistake. Norris then through. Can he hold off Leclerc at least here, Tsunoda? He can for now. I respect the confidence to stay out, though. Yeah, he went for it, Tsunoda. Down to 27%. He's just got to hope he doesn't get a puncture here. We'll keep an eye on them, but we've got to watch our drivers come across the line. I think Leclerc is going to get Tsunoda here. He's all over him, isn't he? He's all over him, it's Leclerc. But here we go. It's been easy work out front. We've hardly watched R2. It's been easy work for them. Daniel Ricciardo wins again, and he gets the fastest lap. Does Alonso beat him on this final run? Both going for a flying lap for the final lap of the race here. It's Ricciardo that wins it. Alonso P2. He doesn't do enough for the fastest lap, and Leclerc is past Tsunoda. It's heartbreak for Yuki. Heartbreak for Yuki in the end then. He's going to finish P6 as long as he doesn't get a puncture here. He's got no pace. The tyres are dead. Hamilton is going to finish P3. But it was easy work for us, a walk in the park for us. And also Ricciardo always had 8 to 9, 10 seconds on Alonso. But yeah, it's quite interesting to watch this battle. Yuki tried the one-stopper, and it nearly worked. If the race finished 3 laps earlier, Yuki Tsunoda would have been on that podium. But instead, he loses out to Hamilton, then Norris, then Leclerc. And it's P6 for Yuki Tsunoda.
Well, we all love to see Daniel Ricciardo.
Alonso started 5th, runs back to P2, so a good race from Fernando. But Lewis Hamilton, those Ferraris didn't really seem to be in the conversation, and then that final stint, mega pace from Lewis and Charles. Both had good pace, to be fair.
A lovely show of sportsmanship to conclude proceedings here in Japan.
So Daniel Ricciardo, perfect race, wins from pole and takes the fastest lap of the race. Fernando Alonso, as I say, up 3 places from 5th, so did well in the end, but could never really compete with Daniel Ricciardo here today. Lewis Hamilton actually started P2, actually finished down 1, but from the early stage of that race, the Ferraris weren't really about. Lando Norris up 4 to finish 4th. Leclerc, really good race, up 6 places to 5th. Yuki dropping 2 places from starting P4, was nearly a podium. But tyres just dropped off the cliff at the end there. Carlos Sainz 7th, Nico Hülkenberg 8th, so another double points finish for RB. George Russell 9th, and Valtteri Bottas, we did miss that. He did sneak into the points at the end then, so Valtteri claims a point, the reigning world champion. But it looks already after 3 races that he might not be able to hold on to that crown. A Drivers' Championship then, Daniel Ricciardo was a sprint weekend here, so he takes a lead of 8 points over Fernando Alonso, but our 2 drivers pulling away. As I keep saying, we are going to bring this pack close to us to make it competitive. Yuki Tsunoda, though, is still 3rd in the championship, gains another 8 points. Could have been so much more for him, but he is still currently 3rd. Oscar Piastri 4th, obviously had that accident with Max Verstappen, which cost him. Carlos Sainz is 5th. Leclerc is 6th. Hamilton moves up 3 places to 7th. Lando Norris 8th. Max Verstappen drops 2 places, scored 3 points, which were in the sprint, none in the full race. And Bottas claimed a point in the sprint and a point in the full race. But he is 10th in the championship. As I say, won the World Championship last year, and he's already 69 points off the lead this year in 2026. Hülkenberg now scored points in the last 2 races. He's up to 11th. George Russell is 12th. And Sergio Perez is 13th. The rest of the drivers are yet to score. And here we go then. Constructors, Team Lotus running away with it then. Another 59 points. But McLaren do move up to 2nd, but very close with Ferrari. Just a point in it there with Ferrari. Ferrari having a better weekend with Hamilton picking up that podium. Red Bull are down 2 places. They're now 4th. And RB down 1 to 5th. But still very close. There's 11 points between 2nd and 5th. So looking very tasty there. And as I say, hopefully we're going to bring this pack close to us, so that will be very, very tasty indeed. Mercedes, dominant car in 2025 in this series, completely off the pace this year. Only 12 points from 3 races and 1 sprint, so they are really struggling. Williams have 2 points. Aston Martin, looked like Albon might have scored a point today, but misses out. So Aston Martin, although it says Kick Sauber, we're working with the Audi team. So Aston Martin, Audi, Alpine and Haas all yet to score a point. And there we have it then, very dominant still in the early stages of this 2026 season after the 3rd round in Suzuka. Did Alonso, was it costly when he went into the back of Ricciardo in practice 1, got that 3-place grid penalty, qualified P2, started P5 with that penalty, but he was 2nd after a couple of laps and right on Ricciardo's gearbox. So in truth, I don't think it did really cost him. Ricciardo just looked like he had the pace today on Alonso, so it's advantage to Ricciardo in this season. But from Miami, we're expecting the grid to close up to us or maybe overtake us. So we've got to take advantage while we can. And Danny Rick, the Honey Badger, is certainly doing that. And if you haven't made it all the way to the end of this video and you haven't already, please do smash that like button. As I say, it really does help me out and I really do appreciate it. And of course, if you're not already, please do subscribe to the channel and turn the notifications on because you'll be notified every time a new episode drops in this Team Lotus series. And the next one will be right around the corner. So stay tuned for that, and we'll be back very soon.